The book of 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 1, 1 Samuel 4 and 1. 1 Samuel, the fourth chapter and the first verse. Then Samuel would announce the Lord's message to all the people of Israel. When Eli was very old, his sons lived more and more in a way the Lord considered evil. The Philistines defeat the Israelites. At that time, the Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines. The Israelites made their camp at Ebenezer. The Philistines made their camp at Aphat. The Philistines lined up their soldiers in front of the Israelites and began the attack. The Philistines defeated the Israelites. They killed about 4,000 soldiers from Israel's army. The rest of the Israelite soldiers went back to their camp. The elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord let the Philistines defeat us? Let's bring the Lord's box of the agreement from Shiloh. God will go with us into battle and save us from our enemies." So the people sent men to Shiloh. The men brought back the Lord all-powerful's box of the agreement. On top of the box are the cherub angels. They are like a throne where the Lord sits. Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, came with the box. When the Lord's box of agreement came into the camp, all the Israelites gave a great shout, loud enough to make the ground shake. The Philistines heard Israel shout and asked, "Why are the people so excited in the Hebrew camp?" Then the Philistines learned that the Lord's holy box had been brought into Israel's camp. They became afraid and said, "Gods have come to their camp. We're in trouble. This has never happened before. We are worried. Who can save us from these powerful gods? These gods are the same ones that gave the Egyptians those diseases and terrible sicknesses. Be brave, Philistines. Fight like men. In the past, you were our slaves. They were our slaves. So fight like men, or you will become their slaves." So the Philistines fought very hard and defeated the Israelites. The Israelite soldiers ran away and went home. It was a terrible defeat for Israel. 30,000 Israelite soldiers were killed. The Philistines took God's holy box and killed Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. One of the men who ran from the battle was a man from the tribe of Benjamin. He tore his clothes and put dust on his head to show his great sadness. Eli was worried about the holy box, so he was sitting there by the city gate, waiting and watching, when the Benjamite man came into Shiloh and told the bad news. All the people in town began to cry loudly. Eli was 98 years old. He was blind, so he could not see what was happening, but he could hear the noise of the people crying. Eli asked, "Why are the people making this loud noise?" The Benjamite man ran to Eli and told him what happened. He said, "I am the man who just came from the battle. I ran away from the battle today." Eli asked, "What happened, son?" The Benjamite man answered, "Israel ran away from the Philistines. The Israelite army has lost many soldiers. Your two sons are both dead, and the Philistines took God's holy box." When the Benjamite man mentioned God's holy box, Eli fell backward off his chair near the gate and broke his neck. Eli was old and fat, so he died. He had led Israel for 20 years. Now, why'd they have to say he was fat? The glory is gone. Eli's daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant. It was nearly time for a baby to be born. She heard the news that God's holy box was taken. She also heard that her father-in-law and her husband Phinehas were both dead. As soon as she heard the news, her pain started and she began giving birth to her baby. She was about to die when the women who were helping her said, "Don't worry, you've given birth to a son." She did not answer or pay attention. She named the baby Ichabod. That is to say, Israel's glory has been taken away. She did this because of God's holy box was taken away and because both her father-in-law and husband were dead. She said, "Israel's glory has been taken away because the Philistines had taken God's holy box." I thought she died in childbirth. 1 Samuel chapter 5, the holy box troubles the Philistines. The Philistines carried God's holy box from Ebenezer to Ashdod. They carried God's holy box into the temple of Dagon and put it next to the statue of Dagon. The next morning, the people of Ashdod got up and found Dagon lying face down on the ground before the Lord's box. The people of Ashdod put the statue of Dagon back in its place. But the next morning, when the people of Ashdod got up, they found Dagon on the ground again. Dagon had fallen down before the Lord's holy box. This time, Dagon's head and hands were broken off and were lying in the doorway. Only his body was still in one piece. That is why even today, the priests or other people refuse to step on the threshold when they enter Dagon's temple at Ashdod. The Lord made life hard for the people of Ashdod and their neighbors. He gave them many troubles and caused them to get tumors. He also sent mice to them. The mice ran all over their ships and into their land. The people in the city were afraid. They saw what was happening and said, "The holy box of God, of the God of Israel, can't stay here. God is punishing us and Dagon our God." The people of Ashdod called the 5 Philistine rulers together and asked them, What must we do with the holy box of the God of Israel? The rulers answered, move the holy box of the God of Israel to Gath. So the Philistine moved God's holy box. But after the Philistines had moved God's holy box to Gath, the Lord punished that city. People became very frightened. God caused many troubles for all the people, young and old. He caused the people in Gath to have tumors. So the Philistines sent God's holy box to Ekron. But when God's holy box came to Ekron, the people of Ekron complained. They said, why are you bringing the box of God, the God of Israel, to our city Ekron? Do you want to kill us and our people? The people of Ekron called all the Philistine rulers together and said to the rulers, send the box of the God of Israel back home before it kills us and our people. The people of Ekron were deathly afraid because God severely punished them. Many people died, and those who did not had tumors. The people of Ekron cried loudly to heaven. 1 Samuel 6, God's holy box is sent back home. The Philistines kept the Lord's holy box in their land for 7 months. The Philistines called their priests and magicians and said, what must we do with the Lord's box? Tell us how to send it back home. The priests and magicians answered, if you send back the holy box of the God of Israel, don't send it away empty. You must offer gifts to the God of Israel. Then you will be healed. You must do this so that God will stop punishing you. The Philistine asked, what kind of gift should we send for Israel's God to forgive us? The priests and magicians answered, there are 5 Philistine leaders, 1 leader for each city. All of you and your leaders have the same problems. You must make 5 gold models to look like 5 tumors. You must make 5 gold models to look like 5 mice. So make models of the tumors and models of the mice that are ruining the country. Give these gold models to the God of Israel as payment. Then maybe the God of Israel will stop punishing you, your gods, and your land. Don't be stubborn like Pharaoh and the Egyptians. God punished the Egyptians. That's why the Egyptians let the Israelites leave Egypt. You must build a new wagon and get 2 cows that have just had calves. These must be cows that have never worked in the fields. Tie the cows to the wagon so they can pull it. Then take the calves back home and put them in their pen. Don't let them follow their mothers. Put the Lord's holy box on the wagon. You must put the golden models in the bag beside the box. They are your gifts for God to forgive your sins. Send the wagon straight on its way. Watch the wagon. If the wagon goes toward Beth-Shemesh in Israel's own land, then it is their God who has given us this great sickness. But if the cows don't go straight to Beth-Shemesh, we will know that it was not their God who brought the sickness to us. It was just one of those things that sometimes happen. The Philistines did what the priests and magicians said. They found 2 cows that had just had 2 calves and tied them to the wagon. But they kept the calves at home in a pen. Then the Philistines put the Lord's holy box on the wagon, along with the bag with the golden models of the tumors and mice. The cows went straight to Beth-Shemesh. The cows stayed on the road, mooing all the way. They did not turn to the left or the right. The Philistine rulers followed the cows as far as the city limits of Beth-Shemesh. Then the people of Beth-Shemesh were harvesting their wheat in the valley. They looked up and saw the holy box. They were very happy to see it again. They ran to get it. The wagon came to the field that belonged to Joshua of Beth-Shemesh and stopped near a large rock. Some Levites took down the Lord's holy box in the bag that had the golden models. The Levites put the Lord's box in the bag that was with it on the large rock. The people of Beth-Shemesh cut up the wagon and killed the cows that day that sacrificed the cows as burnt offerings to the Lord. The 5 Philistine rulers watched the people of Beth-Shemesh do this and then went back to Ekron that same day. In this way, the Philistines sent golden models of tumors as their gifts for their sins to the Lord. They sent 1 golden model of a tumor for each of the Philistine towns of Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The Philistines also sent golden models of mice. The number of these golden mice was the same number as the towns that belonged to the 5 Philistine rulers. These towns had walls around them, and each town had a village around it, had villages around it. The people of Beth-Shemesh put the Lord's holy box on a rock. That rock is still in the field of Joshua from Beth-Shemesh. But no priests were there to lead the celebration when the men of Beth-Shemesh saw the Lord's holy box. So the Lord killed 70 men from Beth-Shemesh. The people of Beth-Shemesh cried loudly because of this hard punishment. They said, where is a priest who can care for the box, holy box? Where should the box go from here? There was a priest at Kiriath-Jearim. The people of Beth-Shemesh sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-Jearim. The messenger said, the Philistines have brought back the Lord's holy box. Come down and take it to your city. This is the word of the Lord. Place those words in the comment section. Follow, like, share, and subscribe, and encourage others to join us.